Mega show of patriotism on display in the national capital, but face-off erupts as opposition boycotts rally. Tricolour removed from Hurriyat office in Srinagar shortly after it was put up. BJP heads back at opposition, says don't politicize tricolour. "17 opposition parties question top court on the PMLA, expresses deep apprehensions over implications. It's a super exclusive. Republic uncovers the joint Partho Orpita link. Undeniable proof of the link is now out. China is posturing with drills, tanks and missiles. Failed China push to corner against with just Pakistan and Russia support. "18-hour visit rattles China. Pelosi now takes off from Taiwan." Getting in some breaking news right now. Big development in the illegal phone tapping case, where the former Mumbai Police Commissioner Sanjay Pandey has now been sent to judicial custody till 16th of August. Meanwhile, he's already moved a bail application. The order has now been reserved. In all likelihood, it's going to be pronounced tomorrow afternoon, is what we are given to understand. This after the Enforcement Directorate has conducted weeks of investigation in the illegal phone tapping, in which allegations have been levelled against the former Mumbai Police Commissioner Sanjay Pandey for carrying out illegal phone tapping at the National Stock Exchange at the behest of the former MD of NSE, Chitra Ramakrishna and Ravi Narayan. Allegations which have been denied by the former Mumbai Police Commissioner. But having said that, the Enforcement Directorate says that a company that has been direct links with Sanjay Pandey was actually roped in by Chitra Ramakrishna and Ravi Narayan to carry out illegal phone tapping of over 90 employees of the National Stock Exchange. In fact, this was going on for several years put together, till the time the NSE co-location scam was busted by the Enforcement Directorate and the Central Bureau of Investigation. A big development now taking place. We'll try and also go across to my colleague Sambhav Sharma, who's been tracking the story very closely from the Rouse Court. That's the latest details now coming in.
A great number of members of the Congress gathered to celebrate Siddaramaya's 75th birthday, with the event attended by Congress leader Rahul Gandhi. Leaders who are following State President D.K. Shivkumar were also present at the occasion in order to show solidarity with the leader currently under the ED scanner. Even so, a 6-kilometer traffic jam was witnessed on Pune-Bangalore highway near Devanagare, where the event was held. At least 10 lakh people are assumed to have visited the leader's 75th birthday. With both Siddaramaya and Shivakumar showcasing chief ministerial aspirations ahead of the assembly elections, the Congress in Karnataka sees clear rifts and preferences between the two leaders with regard to being the face of the party in the state. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
Well, as far as the big controversy now brewing in Jammu and Kashmir, a Kashmiri Pandit activist had unfurled the tricolour outside the Hurriyat office, but minutes later it was removed. We're also getting in another news now coming in, where a massive political face-off has been brewing over the Tiranga Yatra. Opposition has essentially chosen to boycott the Tiranga Yatra.
विपक्ष को हमेशा कुछ ना कुछ बोलने के लिए चाहिए। ये तिरंगा किसी पार्टी का नहीं था। तिरंगा देश के स्वाभिमान का प्रतीक है, देश के सम्मान का प्रतीक।
जी हाँ, बहुत बढ़िया अभियान है ये। मैं शुभकामनाएं देता हूँ और इस चीज़ का मैं शुक्रगुजार हूँ कि मैं देश के लिए सेवा करने का मुझे पहले मौका मिला क्रिकेट की फील्ड में, और अब मुझे मौका मिल रहा है यहाँ पे कि मैं देश के किसी काम आ सकूँ। और ये जो अभियान शुरू किया है ये हर भारतीय के लिए है, और ज़रूर हर भारतीय जो अपने आप को गर्व महसूस करता है कि मैं भारतीय हूँ, उसको अपने घर पे झंडा लगाना चाहिए।
कि जिसके मन में तिरंगा के प्रति कभी प्यार था ही नहीं, वो तो आज नरेंद्र मोदी जी के आह्वान के बाद स्पष्ट हो गया ना। उनके मन में तिरंगा होता तो तिरंगे में भाजपा थोड़ी देखते। तिरंगे में कैसे भाजपा देख लिया लोगों ने, और डीपी भी लगा रहे हैं, हम नेहरू जी के लगाएंगे साथ में। कि जिसके मन में तिरंगा के प्रति कभी प्यार था ही नहीं, वो तो आज नरेंद्र मोदी जी के आह्वान के बाद स्पष्ट हो गया ना। उनके मन में तिरंगा होता तो तिरंगे में भाजपा थोड़ी देखते। तिरंगे में कैसे भाजपा देख लिया लोगों ने, और डीपी भी लगा रहे हैं, हम नेहरू जी के लगाएंगे साथ में।
हम लोग अपना अपना मनाएंगे, ये बीजेपी का अपना पॉलिटिकल एजेंडा कैसे लेंगे। हमारा खादी को खत्म कर दिया, चाइना से अभी फ्लैग आने लगे, फ्लैग कोड बदल दी। क्या हो रहा है ये सारे? हर दिन दो वक्त मोदी जी गांधी को नारा लगाते हैं, और गांधी जी का जो सपना था खादी, उनको हिंदुस्तान से हटाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। ये क्या हो रहा है तमाशा?
Right behind me, you can see sea of tricolors, people taking part in this Tiranga Yatra with chants of Vande Mataram, Bharat Mata Ki Jai. You can see Venkaiah Naidu is the one who had basically flagged off this entire Tiranga rally, and this rally will go towards the Vijay Chowk in Delhi. We are in Parliament and a message is being sent out. Sir, क्या मैसेज देना चाहिए? मैसेज क्या देना चाहेंगे आप?
भारत की शान बान आन की प्रतीक है तिरंगा। आज आज़ादी का अमृत महोत्सव के शुभ अवसर पर सभी सांसदों ने भारत माता के जयकारा लगाते हुए आज से अभी पूरा देश में जो हर घर तिरंगा का कार्यक्रम शुरू किया गया है।
All parliamentarians are taking part in this. We will also try to, take part in this Tiranga rally. इस Tiranga rally, I would ask my video journalist, कोई है आपके साथ to sit with them, मैं आपका नाम okay. So we will also try to take part in this Tiranga rally, and then we'll try to show you more pictures. चलिए भैया, चलिए. Rally, Tiranga bike rally, which has now begun from Red Fort. Many parliamentarians have taken part in this bike rally, Tiranga bike rally, which has now begun from Red Fort. They are going towards the Parliament, so it's a big day. A message is being sent out clearly by the parliamentarians to hoist tricolour on their respective houses from 13th to 15th of August. So it's a huge Tiranga rally, Tiranga bike rally, which has now begun from Red Fort. We'll have to wait and watch how this program is further going to be continued. But yes, a clear message being sent out by the government, by the Ministry of Culture, and also is being told to people across the country to take part in flag hoisting ceremony on their roofs from 13th to 15th of August. So we are continuously showing you live pictures from this Tiranga bike rally, which has now kick-started from Red Fort. This bike rally will go towards the Vijay Chowk in Delhi, and till there we will be also taking part in this bike rally. मैम, आज प्रोग्राम है, तिरंगा यात्रा निकाली जा रही है, क्या मैसेज आप?
मैसेज बहुत साधारण है। प्रधानमंत्री जी ने अमृत महोत्सव की घोषणा की थी 12 मार्च 2021 को, और साथ ही तिरंगा यात्रा, तिरंगा जो हम सबकी प्रेरणा है, और कल बेंगली वेंकैया जी के जन्मदिन से शुरू कर हमारे जितने अनसंग हीरोज़ हैं जिनके बारे में लोगों की जानकारी कम है, वो उन सबको जाने, और जिन्होंने अपना सर्वस्व इस देश की आज़ादी के लिए न्यौछावर किया, वही हमारी प्रेरणा बने, ताकि हम उस प्रेरणा को लेकर आगे आने वाले आज़ादी के अमृत महोत्सव में शामिल होते हुए 25 साल देश के कैसे हो उसके काम में जुट जाएं, और पूरे अपने सामर्थ्य को पहचानते हुए आगे बढ़े।
कल्चर का इवेंट है, ये मैसेज क्लियर जाना चाहिए, क्योंकि कुछ पार्टी के जो एमपीज हैं उनमें कंफ्यूजन है कि बीजेपी का ये इवेंट है। आप चाहेंगे कि पार्टी अक्रॉस लाइन जो है एमपीज इसमें आए?
मैं चाहूँगी कि सांसद अक्रॉस पार्टी लाइन इसमें पहुँचे, क्योंकि तिरंगा किसी एक पार्टी का नहीं, तिरंगा देश का है।
क्या मैसेज देना चाहेंगे इस तिरंगा यात्रा के?
मैसेज, ये पूरा देश इस अमृत महोत्सव काल में अपने पूर्वजों को याद करके, जिन्होंने त्याग, तपस्या और बलिदान के बल पे आज भारत को आज़ाद किया, अंग्रेजों को भगाया और दुर्भाग्य से देश को टुकड़े टुकड़े करने वाले लोग आज भी इस तिरंगे को अपमानित करने का काम कर रहे हैं। और आज मोदी जी पूरे देश में एक उत्सव का वातावरण, आज गांव में, शहर में, जब हम घर घर झंडा लेकर के उत्सव मनाएंगे तो लोगों के मन में राष्ट्र के प्रति एक नई भावना की जागृति होगी, जो हम बचपन से मनाते आए। दुर्भाग्य है कि मोदी जी अगर तिरंगा उठा रहे हैं तो विपक्ष उनका उल्टा, अगर उसके हाथ में कोई चाइना थमा दे तो वो भी थम लेंगे। मैंने मोदी का विरोध करते करते मोदी करेंगे भारत माता की जय, तो उनके जुबान से क्या निकलेगा भगवान जाने।
ताजुब की बात है क्योंकि तिरंगा तो किसी दल का, किसी व्यक्ति का थोड़ी है, देश का तिरंगा है, सबको आना चाहिए। तो गलत हो गया सब। हमारे दिल में ऐसा नहीं होता, दिखाना पड़ता है, दिल में भी होना है, झंडा लहराना होता है।
इम्पोज किया जा रहा है आरएसएस का एजेंडा है, क्या कहेंगे आप इस तरह की?
तिरंगा कोई इम्पोज करने वाला चीज है क्या? तिरंगा तो शान से लहराने वाला।
सर कांग्रेस
भाई जो आदमी अपने देश में रहता है उसका देशभक्त है, उसमें क्या परेशानी है? अगर वो झंडा अपने घर पर नहीं लगाएगा तो देशभक्त नहीं होगा क्या वो?
नहीं, बीजेपी अब कह रही है कि उन्होंने, सारे नेता बोल रहे हैं कि क्या विपक्ष के सांसद अपने घर पे तिरंगा तो लगाएंगे ना? ये सवाल पूछ रहे हो कि देशभक्ति पे सवाल है।
तो देशभक्ति झंडे पर ही थोड़ी डिपेंड करती है, आदमी के काम पर, कारनामों पर करती है।
देखिए, जनता सब जानती है, जनता सब पहचानती है। जैसे मैंने आपको कहा कि अधीर रंजन चौधरी हो या बर्क साहब हो या कोई और हो, आज इस पावन विषय को लेकर हम उन पे अटैक नहीं करेंगे, मगर हाथ जोड़कर कहेंगे जनता बिल्कुल सब जानती है। तभी तो 8 साल से नरेंद्र मोदी प्रधानमंत्री है। कौन देश के लिए ठीक काम कर रहा है, कौन देश के लिए उचित है, कौन देश को आगे बढ़ा सकता है, इन सब विषयों को लेकर जनता जनार्दन जानती है। तिरंगे का क्या महत्व है, आज हम आर्ग्यूमेंट में क्यों पढ़े? तिरंगे का महत्व है, यह देश का नेशनल फ्लैग है। हम इसको मिलकर फहरा नहीं सकते क्या 20 करोड़ घरों में? क्या कांग्रेस को लगता है कि वो अपने घर पे ऊपर, अपने अधीर रंजन चौधरी जी अपने घर के ऊपर, उनके कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी में क्या वो एक अपील कर देंगे तो कोई छोटे हो जाएंगे क्या? बिल्कुल नहीं। ये बीजेपी का झंडा नहीं है। कल माननीय नड्डा जी ने, ये हमारे पार्टी के अध्यक्ष हैं, मगर उन्होंने हमारी पार्टी की तरफ से एक अपील की है पूरे देशवासियों को। अगर कांग्रेस की भी अध्यक्षा और कांग्रेस पार्टी भी ऐसी अपील कर दे तो कांग्रेस छोटी नहीं हो जाएगी। देश का झंडा है, बीजेपी का झंडा नहीं है। कल माननीय नड्डा जी ने कोई ये नहीं कहा कि बीजेपी का झंडा फहराइए, उन्होंने तिरंगे के लिए कहा है। हर पॉलिटिकल पार्टी आगे आए, ये तू मैमे का विषय ही नहीं है।
शिवसेना एमएलए उदय सामंत supporting the Eknath Shinde camp and the MLA in Eknath Shinde faction. His convoy was attacked yesterday while he was on the way from Pune, Katraj towards Mumbai, and the supporters of Uddhav Thackeray and Aditya Thackeray had attacked his car with hockey sticks and several other equipments. He didn't had any kind of injuries, but the Katraj police, the Bharati Vidyapeeth police of Pune have registered an FIR against 10 people and have made 6 arrests in this case. So far, the investigation is underway, and Pune police is in search of rest the people who attacked the ex-cabinet minister Uday Samant. Reporting from Mumbai with cameraman Sameer Shelke, Sandeep Singh for Republic TV.
It's a Republic Super exclusive. We get you full details of Partho and Urpita's link. Undeniable proof of the link is now out. Seventeen opposition parties question top court order on PMLA, express deep apprehensions over the implications.
We will do whatever it takes to strengthen Taiwan's self-defense capability. Taiwan is committed to maintaining peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait, and we will make Taiwan a key stabilizing force for regional security, ensuring a free and open Indo-Pacific, as well as the stable development of global trade and supply chain.
Speaking at a joint press conference, US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi spoke about how she viewed the relationship between the US and Taiwan as important one, and how the solidarity of the people of the United States is with Taiwan at this point.
Put it in perspective, over 4 decades ago, the Taiwan Relations Act was building a strong bond between our two countries, advancing our shared interests of governance, economy, and security, while respecting the One China policy. Our solidarity with you is more important than ever as you defend Taiwan and your freedom.
The speaker went on to mention how China stood against Taiwan's participation in certain meetings and was harming relations of the country with the US.
Important to note that members of Congress, several of them had made trips just earlier this year. 5 senators, bipartisan, came, again including the chair of the Foreign Relations Committee, Mr. Menendez, came. Not too much of a fuss was made. Individual senators have made trips or plan to make trips. And I just hope that it's really clear that while China has stood in the way of Taiwan participating and going to certain meetings, that they understand that they will not stand in the way of people coming to Taiwan.
Speaking about the manner in which China influenced Taiwan, Nancy Pelosi spoke about how the country used money to influence the workings of the state, saying that China uses soft power.
Your question comes in the context of right now a struggle between autocracy and democracy in the world. We cannot back away from that. And so as China goes and uses its soft power, money and whatever, into many countries in order to get their support at the UN and other bodies, we have to recognize if that has effectiveness, because it's a lot of money and it's promises that may or may not ever be kept.
Nancy Pelosi also reiterated how what mattered more was the success of Taiwan, and that the US wished to have a good economic exchange between the two countries. And a quick roundup of all the action in Taiwan. Talking about the Russian invasion on Ukraine, Taiwan's president spoke about the situation at the Taiwan Strait in wake of the invasion and the rising threats if faced as a result of the same.
Russia's invasion of Ukraine earlier this year has made security over the Taiwan Strait another focus of worldwide attention. Aggressions against democratic Taiwan would have a tremendous impact on the security of the entire Indo-Pacific.
Taiwan's president speaking at the conference stated that the country is committed to pursuing its defensive interests and that to work towards a stable Indo-Pacific region.
The protesters are trying to exert force on the barricades and trying to break it down.
Mr. Chatterjee, would you like to respond? Sonia Gandhi coming out of the and we can see Priyanka.
और मात्र 0.5% कन्विक्शन रेट है ईडी का। क्या ये समझने के लिए हिंदुस्तान के लोगों के लिए, प्रबुद्ध मीडिया जनों के लिए काफी नहीं है कि ईडी का दुरुपयोग हो रहा है, ईडी का राजनीतिक इस्तेमाल हो रहा है, ईडी को एक हथियार बना के इस्तेमाल किया जा रहा है? अगर 3000 रेड में 0.5% कन्विक्शन रेट है उनका, तो इसका मतलब समझा जा सकता है कि जब जिसके ऊपर मन में आया ईडी छोड़ दी। आप देख रहे हैं महाराष्ट्र में क्या हुआ, आप देख रहे हैं दिल्ली में क्या हो रहा है, आप देख रहे हैं किस तरीके से झारखंड की सरकार को गिराने की कोशिश की जा रही है, शुरू हो गई है।
Getting in some more breaking news right now, Aam Aadmi Party has now extended their support to opposition's vice presidential candidate Margaret Alva. In fact, Sanjay Singh has just spoken out a short while back. We'll play that out in a short while from now. Tricolor removed from Hurriyat office in Srinagar shortly after it was put up. Eighteen-hour visit rattles China. Pelosi now takes off from Taiwan. All this and much more on the other side.
Your question comes in the context of right now a struggle between autocracy and democracy in the world. We cannot back away from that. And so as China goes and uses its soft power, money and whatever, into many countries in order to get their support at the UN and other bodies, we have to recognize if that has effectiveness, because it's a lot of money and it's promises that may or may not ever be kept.
Nancy Pelosi also reiterated how what mattered more was the success of Taiwan and that the US wished to have a good economic exchange between the two countries. And a quick roundup of all the action in Taiwan. Talking about the Russian invasion on Ukraine, Taiwan's president spoke about the situation at the Taiwan Strait in wake of the invasion and the rising threats if faced as a result of the same.
Russia's invasion of Ukraine earlier this year has made security over the Taiwan Strait another focus of worldwide attention. Aggressions against democratic Taiwan would have a tremendous impact on the security of the entire Indo-Pacific.
Taiwan's president speaking at the conference stated that the country is committed to pursuing its defensive interests and that to work towards a stable Indo-Pacific region.
The protesters are trying to exert force on the barricades and trying to break it down.
Mr. Chatterjee, would you like to respond? Sonia Gandhi coming out of the and we can see Priyanka Gandhi also here along with Sonia Gandhi. Sanjay Rao Singh outside his residence. He has come out. He has come out.
Mainland China. We're here to talk about Taiwan. We have our our Taiwan Relations Act. We support the communiques, this, that, and the other thing that had gone before. So we're supporters of the status quo and the rest. I don't want anything to happen to Taiwan by force. So strength, and one of the biggest sources of strength is democracy.
Look at the mountain of cash.
राहुल गांधी को हिरासत में लिया जा रहा है। बड़ी खबर, बड़ी जानकारी।
we will do whatever it takes to strengthen Taiwan's self-defense capability. Taiwan is committed to maintaining peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait, and we will make Taiwan a key stabilizing force for regional security, ensuring a free and open Indo-Pacific, as well as the stable development of global trade and supply chain.
Speaking at a joint press conference, US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi spoke about how she viewed the relationship between the US and Taiwan as important one and how the solidarity of the people of the United States is with Taiwan.
अफगानिस्तान में गुरुद्वारे और सिखों पर हो रहे हमले के बारे में बोलने के लिए खड़ा हुआ हूँ। ये एक ऐसा मुद्दा है जिसने न केवल दुनिया के किसी भी कोने में रहने वाले हर सिख की भावना को आहत किया है, बल्कि ये एक सिख होने की पहचान पर हमला है। इस तरह के हमले हमें कई सवाल करने के लिए मजबूर कर देते हैं कि ये हमले हमारे ऊपर ही क्यों हमें निशाना बनाया जा रहा है। दुनिया भर में गुरुद्वारे, चाहे वो कोविड के दौरान या गुरुद्वारे ही नहीं थे, वो भोजन और हर तरीके की चीज़, ऑक्सीजन को लेकर के
Getting in some breaking news right now. The hearing in Partho Chatterjee and Orpita Mukherjee's case has already begun. Enforcement Directorate has now sought for 4 days of custody. But a big breaking news coming in. Republic Newsbreak has now been raised in the court. Last evening we told you about the 18 properties of Orpita and Partho Chatterjee which has been identified by the Enforcement Directorate. But one property is a direct partnership of Orpita Mukherjee and Partho Chatterjee, and if I can quote from what the Enforcement Directorate has now told the court, is that there's a partnership deed 50-50 share of Partho and Orpita. Where and how the money and income came is something that they are basically looking into. Joining us on this broadcast is Kishore. Republic had first exposed this property which is in the name of Orpita and Partho Chatterjee, bought in the year 2012. That has now been raised in the court. What more are you picking up?
Exactly. Right now in the court, we are picking up that ED is right now vying for 4 days of custody right now. And what you mentioned, the ED has also mentioned about all the properties that we broke in Republic Network first. And they are saying that all these properties, Partho and Orpita, had a 50-50% of share. ED is saying, ED advocate lawyer is saying inside the court premises that we need more time to look into the documents that we have procured from the various apartments and flats of Orpita and Partho Chatterjee. We are getting breakings, we are getting updates every moment from inside the courtroom, and what ED is saying right now that they need more days of custody of both Partho and Orpita because they need to understand the source of all this money with which they brought this huge amount of property that we were talking about yesterday and the day before, and throughout the time we were covering this. Also, apart from that, Partho Chatterjee's lawyer is right now,
Kishore, sorry to interrupt you. We'll come back to you in a short while from now. We'll be closely tracking all the developments inside the court. Republic TV's Newsbreak finds residents inside the court.
Meanwhile, protests erupted in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, where people protested against rising prices and high inflation. And people even thought that they were made to pay hefty electricity bills. Protesters also raised concerns that they were made to pay more amount of service charges and taxes than was due.
इससे पहले भी बिलात आते रहे हैं, लेकिन इस दफ़ा जो बिल जारी किए महकमा बरक़ियात की जानिब से, उसके अंदर फ्यूल एडजस्टमेंट चार्जेस के नाम पे एक बहुत बड़ी जो अमाउंट है वो हर बिल के अंदर ऐड की गई है। और जुल्म की इंतहा देखें कि एक तो पहले आप फ्यूल एडजस्टमेंट चार्जेस डाल रहे हैं, उसके बाद आप उन चार्जेस के ऊपर टैक्स दोबारा डाल रहे हैं। वो इतने बड़े आपके अमाउंट बन गए कि अगर किसी का 10,000 बिल है तो उसके अंदर 4,500 से 5,000 रुपया जो है वो फ्यूल एडजस्टमेंट चार्जेस की मद में एक नया जो है वो गुंडा टैक्स शामिल कर दिया गया है, जो एक आम आदमी की दस्तरस से बाहर है। और उस वजह से इस वक्त आपको पूरे आज़ाद कश्मीर के अंदर जो है लोग ऐसे।
Union Home Minister Amit Shah will arrive in Bengaluru today to take part in Sankalp Se Siddhi conference of the Confederation of the Indian Industries. During his visit, Shah will also hold a meet with state BJP leader. Shah's trip to the city comes amid unrest among a section of the BJP cadres who are upset with the spate of murders of Hindutva activists. As the Amarnath Yatra began 2 years post the pandemic, an important announcement was made by the J&K Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha. He noted that due to several accidents in the Yatra due to inclement weather conditions, the Amarnath Yatra will have to be halted. The J&K Lieutenant Governor also asked all devotees to perform and complete all their rituals before 5th of August.
Jammu and Kashmir's Lieutenant Governor Sinha urged the devotees visiting the Amarnath Shrine to complete their trips before the 5th of August. While stating that the yatras to the shrine were planned till the 11th of August, he warned of the bad weather conditions in the state in the coming days.
देश भर के श्रद्धालुओं से मेरा निवेदन होगा कि जिस तरह से मौसम है, जिस तरह का अनुमान लगाया जा रहा है, मैं सबसे आग्रह करूंगा कि 5 अगस्त तक जो भी श्रद्धालु दर्शन करना चाहें वो दर्शन कर लें। वैसे तो हम लोगों ने 11 अगस्त तक घोषित किया है, लेकिन जो अनुमान लगाया जा रहा है कि आगे आने वाले दिनों में और भी बारिश की संभावना है या मौसम प्रतिकूल रहेगा।
The Lieutenant Governor was also a part of the puja performed on the occasion of Nag Panchami in Srinagar. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
Expelled Haryana Congress leader Kuldeep Bishnoi hinted at joining the BJP. He declared that he would resign from the Haryana Assembly very soon.
कार्यकर्ता मेरा 4-5 कार्यकर्ता हरियाणा के क्यों? क्योंकि पैसों से टूट रही है बेचारे सबके साथ। उसके बावजूद भी भाई साहब आपके साथ खड़े, आपके साथ खड़े, तो मन में तकलीफ होती है कि जो आदमी बेचारा इतना दुखी हो रहा है, इतना पिंजरा है, उसके बावजूद भी मेरे साथ खड़ा है, तो मेरा भी धर्म बनता है कि तो आज मैं आपसे परमिशन मांगने आया कि मैं इस्तीफा दे दूँ।
The protesters are trying to exert force on the barricades and trying to break it down.
Mr. Chatterjee, would you like to oppose?
Sonia Gandhi coming out of the, and we can see Priyanka Gandhi also here, along with Sonia Gandhi.
Sanjay Ram Singh outside his residence. He has come out. He has come out.
Mainland China. We're here to talk about Taiwan. We have our our Taiwan Relations Act. We support the communiques, this, that, and the other thing that have gone before. So we are supporters of the status quo and the rest. I don't want anything to happen to Taiwan by force. So strength, and one of the biggest sources of
Staying with the breaking news now coming in from Kolkata, the mega cash scam. Latest details coming in with regards to the enforcement directorate now seeking custody of Orpita and Partho Chatterjee for 4 more days on the ground that Partho Chatterjee hasn't really been cooperating with the agency. In fact, as we speak right now, Republic news break has been taken up. Last evening, we had exposed 18 properties linked to Orpita Mukherjee and also Partho Chatterjee, but the biggest clincher was the property jointly owned by Partho Chatterjee and Orpita Chatterjee. It was a property in Birbhum district. In fact, it was bought back in 2012, which essentially indicated that they are just not friends, but they are business collaborators. Something that Partho Chatterjee and Orpita have been denying all this while. It was Republic TV's news break, which has now found some resonance inside the court, with the enforcement director saying that they have basically come across a partnership deed, a 50-50 partnership deed, which is basically under the scanner. Multiple premises have also now come under the scanner of the enforcement director, which includes some of the properties that we had exposed last evening. Beyond that, we're also picking up that Partho Chatterjee has also applied for a bail. Partho Chatterjee's lawyers are currently arguing in the court. Let me bring in Kishalai, who's joining me right now from the Republic Bangla newsroom. Kishalai, the big news point really emerging, something that we had discussed last evening, something that we had exposed first. It's the joint property Tell our viewers, why exactly is that so very important for the Enforcement Directorate that it now finds a mention in the court?
Well, Shravan, exactly. Yesterday's news break, Republic's exclusive news break, finds its resonation inside the courtroom as ED mentions that there are properties, and they have mentioned the properties that we also did yesterday. The 50% stakeholders, Partho and Orpita, were in those properties. They mention, ED lawyer mentions that they have 50% stake each in these properties, joint stake, joint holder of these properties. And the ED lawyer is saying right now that we have a huge amount of evidence, huge amount of documents that we need to go through. And that's the reason that we right now need more days of custody. We need to ask these two very important people who are in our custody right now, Partho Chatterjee and Orpita, and we need to understand the source of this money. So first of all, Republic's exclusive news break right now finds its place in the court argument, where the ED lawyer is saying repeatedly that 50% joint stake property holders, Partho and Orpita, needs to be in our custody for more time. They are especially asking for 4 days of ED custody right now, and inside the court, Partho Chatterjee's lawyer is again saying that no, this 4 days custody is not what should be given right now, and he is right now opposing that and asking for pleading for bail right now. That's the update. And also when there was an argument, and the Partho Chatterjee's lawyer is right now saying that Partho Chatterjee is 72 years old, he has been a very important minister, and ED's lawyer or ED is saying that he is not cooperating. That's not true, because Partho Chatterjee was in 10 days of custody, and there were raids in his multiple apartments and 24-hour raids in his own house. So therefore right now that argument is going on inside the courtroom, and Republic's news break as well finds its resonation within the courtroom. Shravan.
Kishala, this is Abhishek, and for the benefit of viewers, please tell us where all these premises are located, and at last count, how many of the properties owned either independently or jointly by Partho and Orpita have been taken into account by the Enforcement Directorate, searches conducted, seizures made. What's the final tally, and what is the final figure of all the money that has been recovered?
Well, Abhishek, exactly. Right now, today, as we speak, there are raids in multiple locations, including Bolpur, including Birbhum, the apartment which is named as Oppa, which can be taken out from Orpita and Partho's name, and also there are multiple raids in Icha and other locations. ED is saying that they have raided more than 9 locations related to this case. They are also saying that there are more locations to be raided. As we said yesterday in our exclusive news break, that there is more than 1.5 lakh square feet of property owned by Partho Chatterjee and Orpita Mukherjee in different locations of West Bengal. So that's the staggering amount of square feet that they own within this state, and there are also properties which is not in their name. What I'm saying, this huge amount of square feet is in their name officially, and then they have properties in the name of their driver, in the name of different relatives, etc. Also, the amount of money that was recovered in the first day, about 22 crores, and then 27 crores the second day, and 5 kgs of gold and more. So that amount of property that they own, and that amount of cash that was seized, all these are in ED's custody right now, and there is a lot of documents that needs to be studied by ED right now. So ED lawyer is arguing that we need 4 days of custody so that we can understand the source of this money that these two people own, and so that we can understand what's more there in this document, and we can process it. However, Partho Chatterjee's lawyer is right now opposing the custody extension, and he's saying that he should be given bail because already there is a long time which he has already spent in custody of ED. Abhishek, back to the studio.
Thank you so much, Kishala. So arguments going on in the court on extension of custody of former Bengal Minister Partho and his aide Orpita, even as their lawyers argue that the custody should not be extended. Obviously, the seizures that have been made and whatever remains of all the properties that still need to be investigated would ultimately determine whether the ED court, the PMLA court, in fact, extends the ED custody of the accused in the Bengal recruitment scam case, or whether they are sent to judicial custody, following which, of course, the bail proceedings take over. With that, we move on to the next story, which is coming in from Parliament, and it is about the government deciding to withdraw the Personal Data Protection Bill 2021. The House has approved the motion by a voice vote, with Minister of Electronics and Information Technology Ashwini Vaishnaw in a note saying that there were a lot of amendments that were moved in by the members of Parliament, based on which the government has decided to in fact go back to the drawing table and drawing board rather, and come back with a new updated version of the Data Protection Bill. Remember, there were some privacy issues. The Data Protection Bill had a clause which provided the government agencies or made the government agencies exempt from the very tough and strict, otherwise very tough and strict provisions of privacy in the Data Protection Bill. And that's why I think, based on the objections raised and the amendments moved in, the government has decided that if it would rather come back with a new draft and the bill goes back to the drawing board with the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology looking into it. Let's go to Aishwarya Kapoor, our executive editor, politics, on that. Aishwarya, Personal Data Protection Bill is withdrawn by the government. What, according to you, could be the reason that the government has taken this decision?
Well, at this point of time, Abhishek, we are being told that House has approved the motion in a voice vote. Personal Data Bill Protection 2021 has been taken back by the Minister concerned of Information Technology, that is Ashwini Vaishnaw. They're also being categorically told that the government, according to the changing times, would want to bring in a more updated version, would want to bring in a more updated law. We are being told that if the opposition permits, basically, because if there is no ruckus, then in the next session itself, the government is planning to bring in a more updated bill in this regard, because personal data has become more and more sacrosanct. We've seen how the government has fought with certain international players as well, even certain major social networking platforms in this very regard. And hence we are being told that as far as the personal data bill is concerned, government is taking this one back, or has already withdrawn it, and a new bill is going to be brought in as soon as possible, so that the personal security of individuals, of Indian citizens, which is paramount for the government, can be maintained and can be controlled further.
Right, thank you so much, Aishwarya. And that's a very important development coming in from the Parliament. Opposition had raised some issues about privacy and data protection, particularly when it came to the extra bit of freedom that the government enjoyed as per some provisions of the Data Protection Bill. And now, post those objections and the numerous amendments that were made by members, mainly from the opposition parties,
मैं अफगानिस्तान में गुरुद्वारे और सिखों पर हो रहे हमले के बारे में बोलने के लिए खड़ा हुआ हूं। ये एक ऐसा मुद्दा है जिसने न केवल दुनिया के किसी भी कोने में रहने वाले हर सिख की भावना को आहत किया है, बल्कि ये एक सिख होने की पहचान पर हमला है। इस तरह के हमले हमें कई सवाल करने के लिए मजबूर कर देते हैं कि ये हमले हमारे ऊपर ही क्यों हमें निशाना बनाया जा रहा है। दुनिया भर में गुरुद्वारे, चाहे वो कोविड के दौरान या गुरुद्वारे ही नहीं थे, वो भोजन और हर तरीके की चीज़, ऑक्सीजन को लेकर के उन्होंने हर तरीके की चीज़ लोगों के लिए उपलब्ध की थी। स्वतंत्रता के बाद के समय की बात करूं तो देश के सिखों के योगदान के बारे में हम सबको पता है। जीडीपी की बात करूं, रोजगार की बात करूं या दान धर्म की बात करूं तो सिख हमेशा सबसे आगे रहा है। सिख समुदाय भारत और अन्य देशों के बीच संबंधों में एक मजबूत कड़ी रहा है। वो अपने साहस, प्रक्रम और कड़ी मेहनत के लिए जाने जाते हैं, और ये सब होने के बावजूद हमारे साथ ऐसा सलूक क्यों?
All right, 17 opposition parties, including the TMC, the Aam Aadmi Party, plus one independent Rajya Sabha MP, have signed a joint statement expressing deep apprehensions on long-term implications of the recent Supreme Court judgment upholding amendments to the PMLA 2002, that's Prevention of Money Laundering Act, and called for its review. Remember, just a few days back, there was the decision by the Supreme Court which upheld the search, seizure and arrest authority or powers of the Enforcement Directorate, saying that those were important powers in aid of investigations and that there was protection of the courts available to those who were under the lens of the agency. But opposition, it seems, is not satisfied with the explanation given by the topmost court of the country, and they have signed a joint statement expressing apprehensions on the use or misuse, as the opposition calls, of these investigation agencies, not just ED but CBI as well, against only opposition leaders. This gains importance in the backdrop of the fact that the Gandhis in picture there in front of you are under the lens in connection with the National Herald's case. We have seen how the Enforcement Directorate has carried out search and seizure operations yesterday itself, in fact, at all the properties associated with the National Herald and the Associated Journals Limited. And if the petitions were allowed in the Supreme Court instead of the order that came, there would have been limitations imposed on the search that was carried out yesterday, for example. So I think let's listen into what the Union INB Minister Anurag Thakur had to say on this.
तो हमारे उसमें ये लिखा है कि हर एक युवा, इस देश का युवा किस प्रकार का बने, उसको सुख शांति और समृद्धि मिले, उसको जीवन के अंदर खुशी मिले, और आज़ादी के इस 75वें अमृत महोत्सव के समय में, इस 75 वर्ष होने के बाद, हम लोग जिस प्रकार की इस देश के जो यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री जी, इस देश के लिए जो उन्होंने कहा कि इस देश को जो है विश्व गुरु बनाना है, कि अगले जो 25 वर्ष हैं देश के लिए, ये 25 वर्ष इस देश के लिए एक अमृतकाल है। इस देश में अगर अमृतकाल है तो हमको जो है, हम किस प्रकार का संदेश अपने युवाओं को देना चाहते हैं, इस देश में हम किस प्रकार के नागरिक तैयार करना चाहते हैं, ये हमारे सामने एक बहुत बड़ा प्रश्न है। मैं अपनी बात खेलों से पहले युवा संबंधी मेरे कुछ विचार है, मैं उस पर अपने विचार रखना चाहता हूं, अध्यक्ष महोदय। देखिए, हम चीजों के लिए अगर हमको कोई लंबाई नापनी है तो लंबाई के लिए हम लोग मीटर रखते हैं, इंच रखते हैं, किलोमीटर रखते हैं। अगर हमको जो है हमको वजन नापना है तो वजन जो है हम किलो में नापते हैं, मनों में नापते हैं, कुंटल में नापते हैं, टनों में नापते हैं। लेकिन अगर जीवन की अगर खुशी अपने को नापनी हो, जिसका कोई पैमाना है या नहीं, ये कई बार ये प्रश्न पैदा होता है कि कौन आदमी कितना खुश है, ये समाज कितना खुश है या देश कितना खुश है, इस बात का हमारे पास क्या पैमाना है। आजकल के शास्त्रियों से अगर जो शास्त्रज्ञ हैं अलग अलग फील्ड के, उनसे पूछें, जो मैनेजमेंट के गुरु हैं, जो इस विषय में जो है भाषण करते हैं कि आदमी की आनंद का, आदमी की खुशी का पैमाना क्या है, तो इस बात का वो जवाब उनके पास नहीं है कि आदमी की खुशी का जवाब क्या हो। लेकिन जब हम लोग अपने देश की संस्कृति जो लाखों करोड़ों वर्ष पुरानी है, लाखों करोड़ों वर्ष पहले हमारे शास्त्रकारों ने इस बात का जवाब दिया कि इस देश का जो युवा है, समाज का जो युवा है, वो कैसा बने। और उन्होंने कहा, युवा शात साधु, युवा अध्यापक है, आशिष्ट हो, दर्दिष्ट हो, बलिष्ठ हो, तस्य पृथ्वी सर्वा वित्तस्य पूर्णाशात स एको हो मानुष्य आनंद है। आनंद की इकाई क्या है, उसका नापने का तरीका क्या है, तो उन्होंने कहा जिस समाज का, जिस देश का जो युवा होगा, उसका जो युवा है।
All right, Beijing began military drills off Taiwan on Tuesday in response to U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to the island. U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and a delegation has now left Taiwan after an 18-hour visit. As China released military drill videos, U.S. also increased its military presence near the island with its USS Ronald Reagan carrier strike group reportedly at waters southeast of the island. Russia backed China in its positioning against America over the Taiwan visit of Nancy Pelosi. Sergei Lavrov said America's move was a desire to prove their impunity to everyone.
I don't know. I'm not really in a position to talk about what their motivation was, but it does reflect the line that I've mentioned regarding Ukraine, and I have no doubt about it. This is yet again their desire to prove that they are immune and that they have free reign. They can do whatever they want. I don't see any other reason behind this, behind creating this flashpoint out of nowhere, while we're very well understanding what this means to China.
Top BJP leaders and union ministers took part in a Tiranga rally flagged off by Vice President Venkaiah Naidu in the morning from Red Fort to the Parliament in Delhi.
श्री जी ने अमृत महोत्सव की घोषणा की थी 12 मार्च 2021 को, और साथ ही तिरंगा यात्रा, तिरंगा जो हम सबकी प्रेरणा है, और कल बेंगली वेंकैया जी के जन्मदिन से शुरू कर हमारे जितने अनसंग हीरोज़ हैं जिनके बारे में लोगों की जानकारी कम है, वो उन सबको जाने, और जिन्होंने अपना सर्वस्व इस देश की आज़ादी के लिए न्यौछावर किया, वही हमारी प्रेरणा बने, ताकि हम उस प्रेरणा को लेकर आगे आने वाले आज़ादी के अमृत महोत्सव में शामिल होते हुए 25 साल देश के कैसे हो उसके काम में जुट जाएं।
Opposition on Wednesday boycotted the Tiranga bike rally, which was held from Red Fort to Vijay Chowk in Delhi, and that's going to be the controversy of the day.
देश कौन देशभक्त है सब जानते हैं। इतना देशभक्ति है कि हमारे देश को आज़ाद करने के लिए जो अखबार निकाला गया था आज़ादी की वो जंग के समय, उनके खिलाफ आज जिस घिनौने साजिश हो रहे हैं उसको भी थोड़ा याद करो और उसको भी देखा करो। जिस पत्रिका को सामने रख के हिंदुस्तान की आज़ादी की लड़ाई लड़ी गई थी, उसके ऊपर किस तरीके के जुल्म और अन्याय हो रहे हैं ये।
A 19-year-old youth was brutally assaulted in public by bikers in an inebriated state in Kollam district of Kerala. As per police, the boy refused to lend a packet of potato wafers when demanded by the attackers. He was initially pushed to the ground and was then kicked by the two people even as onlookers were trying to stop them. ED, while seeking custody of Partha Chatterjee and Arpita Mukherjee, has mentioned the 4 premises held jointly between the two and 5 premises named of Arpita, details that Republic TV had broken on Tuesday. TMC workers protested on the streets of Kolkata against the centre over the price rise issue. Opposition MPs have been raising concerns over the rising inflation in the country that is impacting the common people and asked the government to provide relief to the poor by reducing duties. Police has arrested Shiv Sena's Pune City Unit President, its office bearer from Hingoli, and 4 others in connection with the alleged attack on rebel MLA and former Maharashtra Minister Uday Samant's car. While 5 accused were held from Pune, the Hingoli-based Sena leader Baban Thorat was detained from Mumbai and was brought to Pune, where he was placed under arrest. Thorat is accused of inciting Shiv Sena workers to attack the vehicles of Sena's rebel legislators. Haryana MLA Kuldeep Bishnoi, who was expelled by the Congress from all party positions for cross-voting in the June Rajya Sabha polls, resigned from the assembly today, a day before he joined the ruling BJP. The 53-year-old Bishnoi submitted his resignation to Speaker Gyan Chand Gupta. He spoke to Republic TV after the resignation.
आज मेजॉरिटी कार्यकर्ता मेरा 4,500 कार्यकर्ता हरियाणा के मेरे एक अधिकारी, क्यों? क्योंकि पैसों से टूट दिए बेचारे 26 साल, उसके बावजूद भी भाई साहब आपके साथ खड़े, आपके साथ खड़े, तो मन में तकलीफ होती है कि जो आदमी बेचारा इतना दुखी हो रहा है, इतना पितरा है, उसके बावजूद भी मेरे साथ खड़ा है, तो मेरा भी धर्म बनता है कि अगर कुछ मिले कुछ तो आज मैं आपसे परमिशन मांगने आया कि मैं इस्तीफा दे दूँ कहा।
All right, a big breaking development coming in, and this is huge. The Enforcement Directorate has sealed the National Herald office, and this is a development that follows the search and seizure that was carried out by the Enforcement Directorate yesterday. And the ED has sealed the National Herald office, instructing that the premises not be opened without prior permission from the agencies. This has happened in Delhi, which means at the ITO office of National Heralds. It's a huge building, and that's a big breaking development coming in. The Enforcement Directorate goes ahead and seals the National Herald office. I think this is one step short of attaching the property, but it clearly is a setback to the Congress, given the fact that there were rental incomes. We don't know the destination of those rental incomes, whether those were going to the Congress party or to the Young Indian Company, of which the Gandhis are the directors. But this is clearly seems to be a move in the direction of attaching the property subsequently, because remember, yesterday there in a mass swoop, the ED had carried out raids across the country at about 12 locations, and the properties of the National Herald or the Associated Journals Limited, the erstwhile, they were raided, searched, and investigation carried out. Obviously, correlating facts on the ground with whatever information the agency has gathered from the questioning of the Congress leaders, including the Gandhis, and before them, of course, Pawan Bansal and Mallikarjun Kharge, among others. We know that investigation in the National Herald's case has been on and has in fact picked up pace over the last couple of months, and the questioning of Pawan Bansal and Mallikarjun Kharge led to a situation where the agency decided they have to ultimately question the Gandhis as well, because they were the ultimate beneficiaries of whatever transactions happened between the Associated Journals Limited and the Young Indian Company, which was essentially aimed at transferring all the assets of AJL to the company, which was supposedly a charity and set up as a non-profit under Section 8C, I believe, of the Companies Act. If you can get Shawan over the phone, this is the National Herald's office, Herald House in Delhi, which has now been sealed. In the pictures, you can see the sleuths, I believe, carrying out the closure operations, and the Herald House near the ITO in Delhi is now being sealed. The status of all the occupants of the building, the tenants, as yet remains unclear, but obviously the Enforcement Directorate would go ahead with its investigation, and if we can get Shawan over the phone. And there is police deployment also. Now we are being told outside the National Herald house, some of which can be seen in the pictures. There is a crowd of onlookers present there, and we'll see if Anuj, our correspondent, is there on the ground. Anuj, if you can tell us if you are there at the Herald House or nearby, that what is the scene like there? Is the sealing process complete? What happens to the tenants, the occupants of the building? And is it one step short of attachment?
Well, Abhishek, we are also just trying to get the information if we talk about the whole process, but the latest what we have been told that it has been sealed now. As we have broken it yesterday also, if you talk about the Enforcement Directorate investigation, then some of the documents were seized yesterday. Some digital evidences were recovered by the Enforcement Directorate yesterday. If you talk about yesterday's raid, which happened at the 12 location, but if you talk about this particular building at the ITO, the Herald House, where National Herald office is, then we have been told that these were the documents, these were the digital evidences which was recovered yesterday by the Enforcement Directorate. On top of that, this was the statement which was recorded of the office bearer of the National Herald office. And this has happened after the questioning of Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi. We do remember 4 round of questioning with Rahul Gandhi was done by the Enforcement Directorate, and it was later Sonia Gandhi who was questioned by the Enforcement Directorate for the 2 days. And after these round of questioning, Enforcement Directorate taking the investigation ahead, we have seen has raided 12 locations yesterday, in which there were some important documents which has been recovered, some digital evidences which has been recovered, and on top of that, the statement of the office bearers was also recorded. Let me remind you, this was none other but Mallikarjun Kharge and Pawan Khera, who are the position holder in the Young Indian as well as in the other company. So both of them were there. They were also called in by the Enforcement Directorate. But the latest what we are breaking at this point in time is the latest what we have been told, the office has been sealed now. The office has been sealed, and now this is to wait and watch, Abhishek, what exactly the evidences are, where the investigation has reached to. But the dots have been connected because the Enforcement Directorate, since from the day one, was having that much evidences, was having that much proof, through which they move ahead with the investigation, and we have seen it.
Ahead with the investigation, and we have seen it, how, as I was mentioning it earlier also, Rahul Gandhi was grilled by the Enforcement Directorate. Later it was none other but Sonia Gandhi also. And finally connecting the dots, looking into the shell company's role, what exactly were the role of the shell companies, what we have been told as they were raided at the multiple location. All the dots has been connected by the Enforcement Directorate, and this is big. This is big at this point in time when we have been told that the National Herald office is sealed. And if it is sealed, then yes, this is a sign that investigation has gone ahead, and the Enforcement Directorate is having enough of that evidences in their hand, and the investigation which have been done by the Enforcement Directorate office is proving the same by this action, that yes, they are having this much evidence in their hand and they have reached to this decision. So we are waiting for more update, Abhishek, that what exactly has happened. But we do know that Rahul Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi, the duo are the shareholder, 34% shareholder in the Young Indian, and how the asset was bought by, if we talk about AGL, yes, Abhishek.
Anuj, hold on to your thoughts. I have to go to Shawan. He's joining us over the phone. Shawan, just for the benefit of viewers, which property exactly is this? Is this the entire Herald House? Is it the office of National Herald? Is it the office of Young Indian? Is the entire building sealed or some parts of it? And if the entire building, then what happens of the tenants and occupants of the building?
We're getting the exact information right now, Abhishek. Let's just put this into perspective because many channels have got it completely wrong. The confirmation that we have got is that this is the Young Indian office, which is basically on the 4th floor is what I'm being told. The procedure that has taken place so far is that the Enforcement Directorate officials have basically reached there to execute a search warrant. What thereafter transpired was that not a single officer basically turned up. I'm being told by my source that the principal officer also did not turn up, and that is the reason why the Enforcement Directorate has basically sealed the premises, because the searches could not have been carried out. This is basically a preventive measure that has been taken because the searches have not been carried out, so that whenever the office is basically opened, that is the time that they can basically carry out the searches. So this is a preventive measure that has been taken. It is very different than a civil action that is taken generally when an attachment takes place. And there is no attachment. The property has not been attached. It has only been sealed right now, primarily because the Enforcement Directorate could not carry out the necessary searches in that particular office. And the principal officer did not turn up, and that is the reason why the office has now been sealed.
Also, all right, Shawan has to go and collect more information. Let me go to Aishwarya if he's there live with us from the newsroom. We only have Anuj as of now. Anuj, if you are moving in the direction of the National Herald House, please tell us what's the scene there, and please tell us what's the scene there, and are the occupants being evacuated? Let's go to MR Venkatesh, who joins us over the phone. MR Venkatesh, finally, the Enforcement Directorate closing in the National Herald's case after the questioning of the Gandhis. Now, the Herald House, one of the properties under scanner, being sealed by the agency in Delhi. You think that this is a move in the direction of effectively, ultimately, attaching the properties, as is the process in such cases?
Yes, the attachment under Section 5 has to go on. And before that, they probably require some more information. And if the information is not forthcoming, or if the information is being stonewalled by the people who want to stonewall it, the Enforcement Directorate has a right to conduct searches. 17, 18 are two provisions under which they do the search and seizure. And if the seizure or search is not allowed to be completed, or any premises is locked or is not opened up, then the next step is obviously to seal the premises so that the documents are not secreted away. So there are certain steps under 17 and 18 of the PMLA, which is what the ED has probably done. More importantly, Section 19 of PMLA deals with arrest. So probably you're talking about attachment of the property. That's given. That has to happen. The shares of Young India in AJL, 99.99% of shares or whatever is that, 90 crores worth of shares will be attached. That's a given. But the next important thing probably is the arrest of the persons involved in the laundering. That's the key thing.
All right, MR Venkatesh, just hold on to your thoughts. In fact, Mr. Subramaniam Swamy is joining us. He's the man who started this all. Mr. Swamy, ED moving in and sealing the Herald House in Delhi. They might follow it up with other properties as well. Remember, yesterday we had the agency carrying out searches in about 12 locations across the country connected with the National Herald case. You think the ED is finally catching up on the lost period of investigation, and finally we could be closer to having a full account of the scale of the scam? All right, I think we lost both MR Venkatesh and Subramaniam Swamy there. We'll try to connect again. We'll try to again connect with Mr. Swamy, even as Shawan gathers more information. That's a very important breaking news development coming in, and it is hoped. Okay, fine. So we get Aishwarya with us from the newsroom. Aishwarya, any more details that you have about the sealing exercise that is on? Would it end just at the Herald House in Delhi, or the ED is going to go ahead and do this with other properties also across the country? Remember, yesterday we had the ED going to about 12 locations connected with the National Herald's case.
Well, at this point of time, we are being told that after this massive development, there has been 144 implicated right on Akbar Road and right also outside the residences of Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi. So this is the latest development, because what we are being told that right after sealing of the National Herald office, we are being told that the Congress party might come out on the streets, or their supporters. So in that regard, this is just a developing situation right now, Abhishek. We are being told that the central zone, that is once again Akbar Road, right next to Khan Market. That is where Priyanka Gandhi resides, and right to the residence of Rahul Gandhi. That is very, very close to the Tughlaq Road police station. This is what has happened at this very point of time. That Delhi police is blocking the road to the AICC headquarters. That is what Jairam Ramesh is saying. But what is happening right now is that they are now after the sealing of the National Herald office, Abhishek, we are being told that the Congress supporters are planning for a massive protest on the streets of central Delhi. We are just getting certain developing situation. We have just accessed the sealing note. We have just accessed the sealing note, Abhishek. I'm going to be back with you in 20 seconds. 20 seconds, Abhishek.
Right, Aishwarya. In fact, even as you get the sealing note and read it to us, let me go to Anuj. He's joining us live from the ground here. He's the Herald House. Anuj, please tell us what's happening there. What part of the Herald House has been sealed? What happens to the occupants? And are the ED sleuths still there? Are they talking to those people present? And what is happening there on the ground?
Abhishek, these are the first images of the Herald House. I'm reporting from the Herald House, and on the top floor, that's the 4th floor where this particular office of Young Indian is. And what we have been told, that is the particular office which has been sealed. So these are the first images on Republic. We are showing on Republic Media Network. These are the first images we are showing. So Herald House. Yes, Abhishek. I'm reporting from the Herald House at this point in time. I'm reporting from the ITO. Yes, Abhishek.
If you can go inside, Anuj, and reach the place where the sealing order has been put in place.
Yes.
I have a copy of the order, but if you can show us on the ground where exactly it is put up. Is it for the entire building, all the premises, or just one part where the office of the Young Indian is? If you can go inside and tell us, please.
No, Abhishek.
And of course, I'll continue to read from the order, Anuj, till the time that you go inside. It says that it is hereby ordered that the premises not be opened without prior permission from the Directorate of Enforcement, B Block, Pravartan Bhavan, APJ Abdul Kalam Road, New Delhi 11. It's signed by somebody called Kuldeep Singh, Assistant Director, Directorate of Enforcement, and it has other signatures. So it's signed on 3rd of August, which is today. And Anuj, now you are inside. Please tell us.
We are just trying to get inside.
Well, that's the Herald House at the
He's telling us that we are
Mall.
not allowed to go upstairs. Guard साहब, अगर आप थोड़ा सा हमें बता सकें, चौथा
एक बार मेरी बात सुन लीजिए। मेरे
एक जानकारी के लिए थोड़ा सा पूछ रहे थे कि क्या चौथा माला सिर्फ बंद करा? The guard is not able to answer. But this exactly is the building, Abhishek. This exactly is the premises from where I am reporting. We are just trying to go ahead. This is on the 4th floor. Guard साहब, आप बस इतना मुझे बता सकें कि क्या चौथा माला? So these are the images. This is the entry. Abhishek. This is the entry. I'm just trying to. I'm just trying to. Guard साहब, I'm just.
सर मेरे भी बच्चे नहीं सर, इससे ज्यादा कुछ नहीं।
आप अगर मुझे बता सकें
हम नहीं बता सकते
नोटिस लगाए मेरे को,
इससे ज्यादा कुछ नहीं बता सकते सर जी।
चौथे फ्लोर पे कहाँ नोटिस लगाए
सर जी? ये सुनो, मेरे भी छोटे छोटे बच्चे हैं, मेरे को मना कर दिया। आप क्या चाहते हैं कि मेरे बच्चे भूखे मरे? आप चाहते हो क्या?
यहाँ किसके
नहीं, ये
सर मैं आपसे बस छोटी सी एक इन्फॉर्मेशन पूछा।
सर जी मेरे को
So we were just trying to get inside. But as we understand, this is the duty. We do understand this is the duty. So this exactly is the entry. This is the entry, and right now I'm reporting from the ground floor. This is on the 4th floor. If we talk about this particular office, where yesterday also the raid was conducted by the Enforcement Directorate, and that is something what we have been told, that this is the Young Indian office at the 4th floor. We are just trying to get more detail that what exactly has happened. And yes, this exactly is the same premises where the Enforcement Directorate
clarification
till 1:45 in the midnight, the Enforcement Directorate team was here. So this exactly is the same premises. So this is the area, this is the entry of the Herald House from where I am reporting. ये हेराल्ड हाउस की वो एंट्री है, जहां कल एनफोर्समेंट डायरेक्टरेट की रेड हुई थी। हमने देखा कि कितने घंटों तक, रात के 1:45 तक, आपको बता दें कि यहां पे एनफोर्समेंट डायरेक्टरेट की रेड हुई है। अभी जो बताया जा रहा है मैं दर्शकों को दिखा देता हूं। ये एंट्री है, मैं ग्राउंड फ्लोर पे इस समय मौजूद हूं। फर्स्ट फ्लोर पे पासपोर्ट ऑफिस है, लेकिन चौथे माले पे वो यंग इंडियन का दफ्तर है, जहां पे मल्लिकार्जुन खड़गे और पवन खेड़ा को भी कल बुलाया गया था। तो यहां से आगे जाना हालांकि अभी परमिशन नहीं है, अलाउ गार्ड साहब से हमने बातचीत करी, नहीं कर रहे हैं, लेकिन बताया यही जा रहा है कि चौथे फ्लोर पे वो दफ्तर है, चौथे फ्लोर पे यंग इंडियन का वो दफ्तर है, जहां पे
All right, Anuj, hold on to your thoughts. In fact, Mr. Subramanian Swamy, the man who started it all, is joining us over the phone. Mr. Swamy, ED finally moving in to seal one property, that is of Young Indian, in the Herald House in Delhi. You think, like the searches and seizures that were carried out yesterday, ED could be finally moving closer to having a proper estimate of the scale of the scam?
Not only the scale of the scam, the scale of the lies they have told in the interrogation. I think they may have to be taken to Tihar jail and given custodial interrogation treatment. And I think
they should know that there is a law in the country, and those days are gone when anybody can be above the law. I mean, there are people who can manage to do that, but not for very long. I think what you must understand is that the Herald House is already property under seal in one sense of the Urban Development Ministry. There is a stay order which they have obtained at the level of the Supreme Court, and the matter has to be concluded. They lost in the High Court, and now it's in the Supreme Court. What they in the building, most of the floors are occupied by commercial companies like Tata's, these American companies, and so on. They're getting rent on that, and all that rent goes to young Indians. And so there's enough. Now, on the fourth floor, they have an office, and their documents are there, and you can't, in any company, it's impossible to get rid of all the documents. So the AD has taken...
Mr. Swamy, just for clarification...
Yes.
Mr. Swamy, just for clarification, you said the rents are going to young Indian, which means they are going to the Gandhis, because the rents are not going to the Congress party, the rents are not going to AJL, because now that's anyway taken over by the young Indian.
Yeah, it's ridiculous for them to say that it doesn't go to our pocket. They don't need to. They're spending it. What are they spending it on? Only when the chartered accountants produce the accounts, we'll know what they've been spending it on. And they say, no, AJL is not a part of Young Indian, maybe, but the 100% of the shares, almost 100% of the shares of AJL is held by Young Indian. So it's a Young Indian company. That is only a subsidiary now. AJL is a subsidiary. But they go on playing on all these things. And how long are you going to run away from the truth? It's impossible in such a matter to run away from the truth. They should make a clean breast of it and pay the price for having cheated the country.
Sir, I have two quick questions. I'll ask them together. My first question is that, like the rents in this case are going to Young Indian, you think rents of all the commercial properties across the country, 12 of which were raided by the Enforcement Directorate, could be going to the Young Indian, hence the Gandhis?
Yes.
And also, sir, you say about 2,000 crore rupees, but are we closer to getting the full scale of the scam unfolding?
It's a long way to go. There are many more things which will have to come out. I think they will study the accounts book and they'll come to know. Now,
Dr. Swamy, Harish Rawat of the Congress party is joining us and he wants to respond to you. Mr. Rawat, finally ED moving in, sealing the property of Young Indian in the Herald House. Would you respond to Dr. Swamy's charge that the rents were going to the Gandhis through Young Indian?
Young Indian is a non-profiting company. And that money which was transferred to AGL, that was the Congress party's money.
And that money remains with Young Indian.
No transaction has taken place. There कोई पैसा आदान प्रदान कुछ निकाला गया, कुछ लिया गया, कुछ है नहीं. प्रॉपर्टी जो AGL की थी वो एज इट इज है AGL के पास. और सबसे बड़ी बात यह है, स्वामी इज द चैंपियन ऑफ